It's Friday, December 22. In the headlines, JCF urging Jamaicans to be vigilant on the streets this Christmas. In business news, BOJ says the rise in inflation expected to continue. Regionally, in Barbados, that country is encouraging bilingualism. And in sports, Trinidad and Tobago wins Jewels of the Caribbean Under-17 tournament. This is the weekend news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. The Jamaica Constabulary Force is urging Jamaicans to be security conscious as they traverse the streets this Christmas. The police say they will continue to maintain a strong presence across the island to minimize attacks from criminals. Here are some of the ways in which members of the public can help the police keep them safe this season.
We are encouraging businesses, especially those who have large cash transactions on a daily basis, to have a relationship with your local police commander. We are extending ourselves to say we will be willing to support you in whatever way we can, so you can make arrangements so you get some support when you have to take the money from your business location to the banks, and we arrange that. It's also important that even at the workspace, you try to see how you manage the cash by separating it, breaking it down. So don't keep all the cash in one box in one place. We just want to ensure that persons who are going about their businesses are able to do so in a manner that they are unimpeded, whether by crime, whether by violence.
Public servants who fall between a 3.5 million to 12 million emolument bracket will no longer be required to submit statutory declarations to the Integrity Commission. The Integrity Commission Total Annual Emolument Exempt from Statutory Declaration Requirements Order 2023 was approved this week following a resolution moved by Minister of Justice Delroy Chuck in the lower house. Denita Rodney reports.
The increase was recommended by the IC in September, citing the anticipated rise in declarations due to the increased salaries of workers under the Public Sector Compensation Review. The IC is an anti-corruption body which functions under the Integrity Commission Act. Public servants at a particular threshold of salary are required to file their assets, liabilities, and income on an annual basis. This indicates to the Commission that they are not undertaking any activity as a result of their being employed to the public service that is detrimental to the service. Reporting for the news on PBCJ, I'm Denita Rodney.
Members of the Senate gave the nod to the Domestic Violence Amendment Act on Thursday. The amended act should provide greater protection to victims of domestic violence. Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith led the debate. The Domestic Violence Act was first passed in 1995 and came into effect in 1996. It was amended in 2005.
Mr. President, it sought to address circumstances where they are able to demonstrate that some physical or mental injury has been caused and that they are likely to suffer same once more. Mr. President, 1995 is several decades ago. And even 2005 makes this act of some vintage in terms of the developments that we have had as a society. And the deficiencies of that bill have been made clear and more clear as we have continued to discuss these issues.
The amended act provides for protection orders.
Protection orders relate to actions that the court will prevent them or prohibit them from doing. And occupation orders, again, provided for under the Act, as the language indicates, relate to the victim being able to exclude the respondent from the marital home or the place in which they reside together. Mr. President, the provisions for breach, $10,000, $10,000, and up to 6 months, or both, but clearly woefully inadequate.
Senator Johnson-Smith says the updated act is long overdue. She notes that while a revision of the Act was done in tandem with other relative laws such as the Sexual Offences Act and the Offences Against the Persons Act, more work needs to be done.
And where it landed, Mr. President, was that the scope of amendments required for the DVA were so extensive that a new Joint Select Committee was proposed at that time. So as we have just agreed, and as has been established in that other place, a Joint Select Committee will sit to review this act in its entirety. But there are some things which were recommended by the Joint Select Committee at that time, which can be taken immediately.
She says the government is undertaking a multi-sectoral approach to deal with domestic violence.
There has been the establishment of 10 domestic violence intervention centers at police stations in 8 parishes across Jamaica. Centers are to be established in all parishes, and we know that 2 are currently in the KSA area, where there is a particularly high incidence of domestic violence reports. Mr. President, there's been special training of the police force, and there have been more than 300 supervisors that have been trained since 2020 in this area. A national coordination unit has been established within the Community Safety and Security Branch that will capture data and will interface with external partners to provide for more extensive planning and more effective planning and management of the issue of domestic violence.
Domestic violence refers to all forms of violence which occurs in domestic settings, usually in a marriage or cohabitation. It includes intimate partner violence, child abuse, elder abuse, or abuse by any member of a household. The Health and Wellness Ministry is reporting that the Pfizer vaccine is now available in Jamaica. 45,000 vaccine doses were donated to the island, courtesy of the U.S. government on December 13. This donation of vaccines will be available to all members of the public for both initial vaccination and booster shots. Persons are encouraged to visit any of the 78 vaccination sites to receive the additional dose of Pfizer. Members of the public are encouraged to get vaccinated to protect themselves from severe illness, hospitalization, or death associated with COVID-19. It is especially important that members of high-risk groups such as the elderly, pregnant women, persons with chronic illnesses such as diabetes, heart disease, and chronic kidney failure, as well as health and frontline workers, get vaccinated, including against the flu, which is among the respiratory viruses currently in circulation. Approximately 100 out of 509 young Jamaicans who participated and advanced to Phase 3 in the government's Learning and Investment for Transformation program have been placed in private sector jobs. Denita Rodney has that story.
Speaking at the social advancement ceremony for LIFT participants last week, President of the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica PBCJ, Metri Siaga, said he was pleased to be a part of a program geared towards the development of the country's youth.
As President of the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica, I am pleased to participate in an event that highlights a vital initiative contributing to the development of Jamaica's youth, as well as the private sector.
He continued by saying that this achievement is not just about the numbers.
This achievement is not just a number, but it represents 100 lives steered towards a brighter future, 100 families touched by the promise of stability, and countless communities uplifted by the ripple effects of empowerment.
Mr. Siaga hailed the fact that through the program, the participants have been equipped with critical skills.
Congratulations to the Heart Trust and STA on successfully guiding these participants through their first 2 stages of the program, entry and engagement. By equipping them with critical skills such as customer service, digital literacy, and interview proficiency, we are confident that they are more prepared for the job market and to come into our businesses.
He also reminded those present at the ceremony that it is not about filling job vacancies, but shaping a workforce equipped to take on the diverse workspace.
But for our part, in stage 3 of the program, which is immersion, We are not just filling immediate job vacancies. We are shaping a workforce that is diverse, skilled, and ready to meet the evolving demands of a dynamic global market.
Reporting for the news on PBCJ, I'm Danita Rodney.
2 brilliant Jamaican students got a commitment of support from Prime Minister Andrew Holness after he met them at his recent Christmas treat for the elderly. Mr. Holness was impressed by their passion for computer science and visual arts.
It's a toy for this girl. She's a computer scientist. She needs a... All right, so I'll take it up onto myself. Do you have a laptop?
I do.
So what do we give an 18-year-old computer scientist as a Christmas gift?
Meeting you is enough.
Oh. Well, no. No. We have to do something special for her. I haven't figured it out yet. So I am going to be, as much as I can, sponsor the rest of your university education, because we need more STEM persons and we need more women in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We need more computer scientists, more data scientists, more people in AI. And so I'm very pleased that you have decided to pursue that field, and I'm going to sponsor you to complete your degree.
I'm an art student. In the future, I hope to be more of an artist. I like nature, I like the fields and aspects of it, and I hope to be a successful painter in the future.
Our aspiring artist. So you're going to be painting beautiful landscapes. So you're a nature lover and you like to paint nature. That's great. So we're going to sponsor you. Once you have qualified, we will give you a full scholarship for 3 years at the Edna Manley School of the Visual and Performing Arts. All right. So we have 2 talented Jamaicans who have come through our system, and I know they will do well. All right.
The Prime Minister says investment in their education is an investment in the future of Jamaica. Time now for the Business Report with Denise Williams.
Good day, everyone, and thank you for joining us on the Business Report. I'm Denise Williams, your guide through the latest happenings in the world of business. We start with consumer news. Rise in inflation expected to continue. The Bank of Jamaica Monetary Policy Committee, MPC, at its meetings on December 18 and 19, noted that the rise in inflation is expected to be temporary. Jamaica's annual headline inflation rate for November of 6.3% was above the 5.1% inflation rate in October 2023, but much lower than the peak rate of inflation of 11.8% recorded at April. The uptick in headline inflation in November was primarily driven by the impact of an increase in public passenger vehicle (PPV) fares announced by the government. This is in addition to high domestic agricultural price inflation due to continued adverse weather conditions. The increase in inflation in November, consequent on those factors, marks the onset of temporary fluctuations in inflation outside the target band. Inflation is projected to continue to rise above the bank's target range for much of the period between December 2023 and March 2025 quarters, primarily due to the continued impact of the increases in selected PPV fares. Interest rates to remain steady. Bank of Jamaica will maintain the policy interest rate, which is the rate offered to deposit-taking institutions on overnight placements with the Bank of Jamaica, at 7% for the remainder of the year. The BOJ Monetary Policy Committee, in its December 18 and 19 meetings, unanimously voted to keep the rate as is and also agreed to the strategy to maintain tight Jamaica dollar liquidity conditions and relative stability in the foreign exchange market. more persons holding Jamaican dollars than US dollars in savings. According to the Bank of Jamaica's latest report on December 17th, the exchange rate has remained generally stable, given monetary policy actions as well as strong tourism and remittance inflows. Consistent with these trends, deposit dollarization, which reflects the proportion of the United States dollar deposits to total deposits, continued to trend downwards to its lowest level since December 2011. This positive trend reflects improving confidence in holding Jamaican dollars. We now turn to corporate news. First Caribbean International Bank reduces Caribbean bank locations. Barbados-based First Caribbean International Bank continues on its drive to reduce the number of islands in its banking network in order to reduce cost of operations and increase revenue. FCIB Chief Executive Officer Mark St. Hill noted in the bank's annual report that FCIB was in 16 territories at the end of the 2021 financial year ended October 31. However, it closed the Aruba sale in February 2022 before completing its Grenadian and St. Vincent sales in the 2023 financial year. FCIB has 12 markets in the end of 2023, and they should decrease to 10 key markets once the St. Martin and Curaçao sales are completed. FCIB is currently processing the sale of its Dominican retail performing loans in the National Bank of Dominica. In regards to its best performing islands, Barbados made up 28% of FCIB's revenues, followed by the Bahamas, Cayman Islands, Eastern Caribbean, Jamaica, and then Trinidad and Tobago. Its Jamaican operation grew revenue by 15% to US $67.3 million, or Jamaican $10.3 billion. For the financial year under review, FCIB noted that across the Caribbean, loan origination for personal and business banking hit a record of US $444 million based on almost 10,000 applications. Its corporate and investment banking segment saw US $900 million in new funding to clients, while its investment banking team successfully arranged US $850 million in transactions during the year. The net profit attributable to shareholders was US $264 million. We now turn to the Jamaica Stock Exchange. During trading on December 21, 2023, the top advancing stocks covered the packaging, media, and transportation sectors on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited shares advanced 10.4%, with the share price shifting upwards by 25 cents to close at $2.64 with 8 shares traded. iCreate Limited shares advanced 8.51% to move up in price by 4 cents to close at 51 cents with 382,000 shares traded. Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited US dollar shares advanced 6.45% with no change in price to close at US 2 cents with 5,354 shares traded. On the declining stocks that traders experienced on December 21st, the top 3 losers covered the insurance, medical supplies, and healthcare sectors. Iron Rock Insurance Company Limited declined by 18.58% to shave off 47 cents from yesterday's trading to close at $2.06 with 37 shares traded. Medical Disposables and Supplies Limited declined by 12.33% to lose 36 cents in value to close at $2.56 with 713 shares traded. G West Corporation Limited declined by 12.12% to dip by 12 cents to close at 87 cents with 229 shares traded. Over to the Twin Island Republic, the trading on the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange on the first-tier market registered a volume of 168,000 shares, crossing the floor of the exchange, valued at 14 million TT dollars. Republic Financial Holdings Limited was the volume leader with 113,000 shares, changing hands for a value of 13.9 million TT dollars, followed by Massey Holdings Limited with a volume of 27,000 shares being traded for 115,000 TT dollars. Moving from the money moves of investors, executives, and companies, we now turn to the foreign exchange report. On December 21, 2023, the Bank of Jamaica reported that US $32 million was bought from Forex traders, while US $28 million was sold to Forex traders. Buying directly from the Bank of Jamaica, foreign currency traders sold the US dollars for $155.32 and bought the US dollars for $154.47. The difference between the buy and sell rate was 85 cents, which represents a profit for Forex traders for every US dollar sold. Canadian Forex traders earned a profit of 34 cents from transactions with the Bank of Jamaica. The Canadian dollar was sold at $116.59 and bought for $116.25. For traders looking at the British pound, they pocketed a profit of $4.95, selling the pound for $196.18 and buying the pound for $191.23. Credit report tip of the day. Upon discovering an error on your credit report, make immediate action by filing a dispute with the credit bureau reporting the mistake. Provide clear documentation supporting your claim and ensure accuracy. Simultaneously, inform the creditor associated with the error about the dispute. Keep a detailed record of all communications and follow up regularly to monitor the resolution progress. Taking swift and proactive steps is crucial in rectifying inaccuracies and maintaining a healthy credit profile. And with that, we wrap up today's business report. I'm Denise Williams. I appreciate your company. Stay well informed, stay ahead of the curve. Until our next update, take care.
In regional news, Barbados Ambassador to Brazil, Tonica Seeley Thompson, says the Barbados Language Center plays a role in attracting people to these shores. Ambassador, who is also on the board of the center, says being bilingual prepared her for the international role she now operates in. She adds that the ability of Barbadians to speak languages and teach English drives people to that country.
I have Brazilians, I have Bajans, I had a Nicaraguan, now I have a Bulgarian. I don't speak Bulgarian, but we communicate in Portuguese. That helps my team to be much stronger. We have been advocating for languages to be included as a priority in tourism promotion, have we not? Do you know that this year we have placed, there are two things that I want to tell you by way of update. One, the BTMI has placed their regional office in Panama. So there's now a Barbados Tourism and Marketing Inc. in Panama, cited at my colleague's embassy. And we have a tourism attaché in Brazil.
So that when a student leaves the primary school, they're at least bilingual or trilingual, because you know we can speak Bajan, so that's a language. So English, Bajan, and another language, French, Spanish, something else, that allows them to be able to communicate with other persons from other areas, other countries, and so on. But that should be a target. At that age, they're really eager to learn, and they absorb. So if we can have the Barbados Language Center playing a role as part of this transformative process, starting from the primary school level, where every child that graduates primary school, that is the big vision.
The Trinidad and Tobago Central Bank says the local economy continues to recover despite a global slowdown. More from Terrian Brown Campbell.
In its November monetary policy report, the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago says locally there is evidence of a sustained economic recovery during the second quarter of 2023. It says this is based on an improvement in non-energy sector activity, which countered a decline in output from the energy sector. The bank notes price pressures slowed in October 2023, reflecting a decrease in both food and core inflation. Meanwhile, the amount of money the local banks had to lend decreased owing to central government borrowing and VAT bond repayments. Nonetheless, excess liquidity remained ample to support the ongoing expansion in private sector credit. The central bank says its monetary policy for the year has centered on keeping inflation in check while supporting the post-pandemic economic recovery. At the September 2023 Monetary Policy Committee meeting, the central bank kept the repo rate, or the rate at which commercial banks repurchase securities from the central bank, steady at 3.50%. Terry-Ann Brown-Campbell, TTD News.
In sports, Trinidad and Tobago met St. Vincent and the Grenadines in the final of the Jewels of the Caribbean Under-17 Women's Tournament at the Larry Gomes Stadium in Arima. TTT Sports was there and they shared the highlights.
For the second time in 2 days, Trinidad and Tobago met St. Vincent and the Grenadines in the Jewels of the Caribbean Under-17 Women's Tournament. But this time, it was for the big prize. The TNT women have been perfect for the tournament, going into the final game with 3 wins on the trot, while the Vincentians' only blemish came on a 4-0 loss to the host on Tuesday. They were aiming to erase that blemish, but it would be a difficult task. That became even more so when Anastasia O'Brien was floored by Rebecca Ordain John in the penalty area, and referee Cecile Hines did not hesitate to point to the relevant spot. Oriel Martin then registered her 7th goal of the tournament to lead all scorers. 1-0 TNT in the 24th minute, and they will keep that lead to the half. TNT went seeking additions. Mariah Williams with a pinpoint center, but Elisa Alexander hit straight at the keeper. Alexander then delivered a fine cross of her own, but Kimora Mitchell's effort was desperately kept out. Three minutes into added-on time in the 80-minute encounter, Martin sealed the deal with another gem as she dribbles and scores. Trinidad and Tobago with a 2-0 win over St. Vincent and the Grenadines to take first place in the Jewels of the Caribbean tournament. In the playoff for third place, Grenada met TNT's B squad, also called the President's 11. Grenada jumped out to a 4th-minute lead, Abigail Williams accepting the gift as the home team defense lapsed 1-0. They did not let up, the visitors disturbing the crossbar with a long-distance free kick. In the second half, they doubled their tally, Williams sneaking in behind the defenders to notch her second. It was hat-trick time for the Grenada number 10 2 minutes later, as she once again capitalized on a defensive blunder. Grenada taking third place with their first win of the tournament. Wayne Cunningham, TTT Sport.
And that's it for the news on PBCJ. Thank you so much for watching.